I'll be waiting for you with open arms.
Oh.
My Druzy. Well, welcome to Monday. Hey, let's talk about Drew Scott, shall we?
Yeah.
So let me tell you about Drew Scott. We could all talk about Drew Scott because we all know Drew Scott. Drew was my dear friend and almost like a second father to me for 45 years. I realized yesterday he was my longest running friend until he left us this past weekend. And so I just wanted to talk about him because every time we've gone out to Santa Fe together, which has been many times, and he's come here as well, you guys all got to know Drew very well.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you each have communication with him, and you talk to him, and you're his friend as well, independently, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the most incredibly fun, cool, out of control, brilliant. You have so many words to describe Drew Scott. Yep. So, but yeah, he walked me down the aisle at my wedding. He and his wife Jane, and Jane passed away several years ago, and we've been thick and thin with each other with ups and downs in life. And he was always the one who always had the great advice because he's a brilliant, brilliant man. He was always the one who was living forward. He was hip and cool with all the trends, even though he was in his 80s when he passed away. What else can I say about Drew? Then I want to tell the story about how he left us, which is very unique.
I feel like Drew was, the way I described him to my friends, was he was just this magical, mystical old man who had all of the stories that you could ever imagine that you'd be like, that's not real. And it was. And whatever came out of his mouth was not what you would expect. You could never finish a sentence for him because it was not going to be the sentence you thought it was.
Exactly. And he had little filter at all.
Yeah.
That's why we loved him.
Yeah, he would just say what was on his mind. And, but the most caring, wonderful person. He and his wife, Jane, moved from Dallas, the Dallas area where I got to know him 45 years ago, out to Santa Fe to get into the program and stop drinking. He was in AA for many years, not only as a participant, but also as a counselor and also as the whole thing. And, but just a brilliant mind. And he could just tell the best stories. And as a matter of fact, if you need proof, he did a buttload of podcast for us for the Elvis Duran Podcast Network. The Chili Pod. You should check them out. To hear him tell a story it's each and every time it's a gift. It's a gift from Drew, Yeah. Anyway, so Drew for several years had been sort of playing whack-a-mole with cancer here, cancer there, and just knocking him out as he could. And it got to the point where he didn't want to fight that anymore. He's like, I don't want chemo, I don't want radiation. And he had lung cancer. He had cancer of the everything, as he called it. And he called me one day, and I knew this would happen. He called me one day and said, it's time. I've decided to go ahead and move to the 8th dimension. I'm going to hop on my rocket ship and blast into outer space, which means he was ready to leave this existence and move on to his next. And in the state of New Mexico, it is legal to perform and to take part in assisted passing, is what they call it, where, they, through whatever different concoction they let you drink, you are humanely put to sleep, basically. You go to sleep. Mm-hmm. And so in the adult community he was living in, several of his friends who were in really bad shape did the same thing. And he always said, it was so beautiful. The family came around, they celebrated, they ate, they drank, and then they said goodbye. And their loved one would just fall asleep and go to that next dimension. He said, I'm going to do that one day. Well, that day came. A couple of weeks ago, he said, next Saturday morning at 9:00, I have an appointment. I have an appointment to move on. And I said, are you sure? He said, absolutely. And he was so happy about it. He was so excited. He lived this great life. He said, you don't understand. You'll never understand. No one will ever understand the great life I've lived. It's time to go. And I'm going out on my terms. I'm not going to sit here and waste away. And I feel it coming. And so I was supposed to go see him at the beginning of September, and he picked up the phone and called and said, I don't think I'm going to wait that long. I don't think I'm going to hang on. And I could hear in his voice he was getting sick. So I flew out to Santa Fe under the darkness of night last week, and I spent time with Drew. The Drew who had given up alcohol and had given up a lot of things to try to stay straight, was having a martini and smoking a cigarette. When he called me, I was at my house in Santa Fe. He said, "Come on over. It's time to get together and talk about it." I said, "Okay." He said, "Can you stop off? I need 2 bottles of Smirnoff, and I need some menthol greens, whatever, some cigarettes, and I need a Sprite. Bring me a goddamn Sprite." I went, "Okay." So I went to the store, and I had all these cigarettes, I had all these bottles of vodka, and I had this Sprite. And she said, "Is this for you?" And I said, "No, this is for a friend of mine." She said, "Well, the only nutrition you're getting is in that Sprite." And I went, "Okay, it's all good." So I went to Drew's house, and we sat down, and we talked about old times, 45 years of being best friends and guidance and the ups and the downs. We cried a lot. We told each other things that we have never told anyone and probably will never tell anyone ever other than each other. We laughed our asses off, and that was our session. He smoked about 45 cigarettes and drank two cocktails. I had cocktails. And I went back the next day, and we had another 4.5-hour session with each other. It was awesome.
Wow.
And I realized at that point that was the last time I was going to physically see him. And so he said, "There's nothing else we can say, really." And I said, "Well, if you think of something, you'll call me." He said, "Yeah, I'll talk to you. So I'll talk to you, every day until Saturday." So I did. We had great conversations. He also, meanwhile, had conversations with many people in this room and on this show. I know, he was also a big believer in ketamine treatments, where he would be guided through a treatment using ketamine. His doctor would monitor him and be with him and write down all of the things he said while he was in a K-hole, right? Mm-hmm. And wow, he went to some crazy places, but it really taught him about what life really is. And it decreased his level of depression by 100%.
Wow.
He got many great benefits out of the ketamine treatments. Well, anyway, he says, "Saturday morning, 9:00, my family will be around me. We're going to hang out, rejoice each other, and then I'm going to have a cocktail, the special cocktail from the doctor, and I'm just going to go to sleep." So his daughter called me while we were having lunch, and she said, "Drew just left us. He flew away." And I said, "Well, what were his last words after he drank this morphine cocktail?" She said, "Well, first, he looked a little tired, and he said, 'Oh, my face is starting to itch.'" I said, "Please tell me that wasn't the last thing he said." She said, "No." And then he looked at us, and he got a big smile on his face. He says, "Wow, this feels really good." And he fell asleep. And he went into a deep sleep, so deep he was snoring loudly until his last breath. And that's how he left, on his terms. And if you don't check out his Chili Pod podcast, you really are kind of screwing yourself. It's if you want to hear Drew, you'll hear what I'm talking about. All right, anyone want to say something about our buddy Drew?
This whole thing was just a fascinating, interesting, I don't even know how to say it, journey for everybody, right? Because I feel like being able to actually say goodbye to somebody is not something I've ever experienced before. And kind of knowing that there's this date that it's happening, it was all very new and interesting. And I think that, I don't want to say it was nice, but having these conversations, and he said having these conversations that he'd been wanting to have with people for so long was very fulfilling to him, and that having that date made all of it possible. And every time I know anyone who talked to him, anytime you talked to him, he was so happy. He was like ready to fly away. So I don't know if that was a good thing for all of us, but it was just something. I feel like I learned so much in the last couple weeks just talking to him about things. Yeah.
Here. Yeah, Froggy.
It's just such a gift that just who he was, the way Drew was. But then for him to be able to say his goodbyes to people, and people to be able to talk to him about what he meant to them, and for him to have that time and go out on his terms, his way. He lived such a legendary life and changed so many lives of people that he touched but yet to be able to go out the way he did, it was very deserving. And I feel like Drew got exactly what he deserved and did things his way, which is exactly who Drew was.
Drew, when he entered a room, he owned the room. And and I'll tell you about that energy. He would walk into the room and the energy would hit. And he would in a conversation with you, he would take over your entire being. He would cradle you with his words and his thoughts and his warmth. And he owned you, but in the most wonderful, wonderful, warm way. It just unbelievable. Yeah, Danielle.
I remember when I first met him and Jane, and they taught us about the Sufi gates. And they were like, listen, when you're communicating with somebody, it's very important to keep these things in mind. And he said, the first gate is you always think before you say something, is it true? Then the second gate it has to go through is it necessary? And then he said the third one was, is it kind? And then I think there's even a fourth one, like, is it the right time to say it? But whenever you're thinking, think of all those things before you put it out there in the universe before you say something. And I have always carried that with me. And that is every time Drew's name comes up, that's the first thing I think of. Sufi Gates, the Sufi lower that he taught me about. The mindful communication.
It's true.
Yeah.
He was an artist with his words.
Yeah.
He really did paint pictures with everything he said. I remember one time we went to the casino out in Santa Fe, and we went up to that. You get a little ticket from the slot machine, so you can put it in the little machine and spit your money out. And he's like, "Come over here, goddamn! I can't find the hole to put the thing in." And he said they should put some fur around it.
Wow. There's so many things you want to say about Drew, but like we can't say them on the radio.
No, he can't.
He can't, but he said things so. And Elvis, your impression of him is so perfect that when you do it, I see him. And Elvis, I don't know if you want to share. Do you remember the last thing that you guys said to each other?
I love you. I love you. That's it. You know, we kept saying, what's the last thing we're going to say to each other? And it's like, I don't know. You say it. And then at the very time he was supposed to drink the cocktail, let me put it up on my phone, Drew. It was supposed to be at 11 a.m. my time, at 9 a.m. his time, at exactly 11 a.m. on Saturday. I'll be waiting for you with open arms.
Oh.
My Druzy. Love him so much. And you know what? And something Gandhi said is the way he said goodbye was just kind of fabulous. I mean, I would leave every conversation with him feeling uplifted and just awesome.
Yeah.
And the guy's going to die.
Yeah. So confusing, like sad for us, so happy for him, but also
And we would joke about it. I'm like, well, why are you taking this morphine drink? Why don't you just go hop in an electric chair somewhere and just zap yourself out?
No.
So I don't know. There's so many ways more creative. I mean, why is it drinking morphine? What are you doing? Wow. Oh, God. Yeah, Gandhi, what was that?
Can I say it?
Yes.
Okay. So on our off the grid trips when we went out west, we went and saw Drew on one of them. And as we were kind of driving around and doing a bunch of things with him, he pointed at a place and he said to Andrew Diamond and myself, right there, y'all can go get yourselves a happy ending massage. And we were like, what? Drew, even the ladies? And he said, well, that presents an interesting problem, but I think they could figure it out. You're like, all right, let's go.
Well, anyway, he's a master storyteller. Again, look for the podcast on iHeart or anywhere you get your podcast. It's called Chili Pod with Drew Scott. And the stories he tells are all true, and they will live forever. And you'll get to love this man. Scotty B became really, really, really good friends with Drew. And your girls as well, right? He made jewelry for your kids.
My younger one, Cooper, they made bracelets for each other, and they both always wore them. And he said, I'm going to be wearing it on Saturday.
Yeah, he did. And see this crystal? He was really into crystals and everything in the mystical world. He carved this crystal out, and I've had it around my neck ever since I saw him last. But here's the thing. And I said, I don't want any of this scary crap that you do, like to show me a sign that you're okay. Don't flick my friggin' lights off and on. I'm not going to put up with that. The problem with this, and I truly believe in energy, when you die, where does it go? Where do we go? I don't know, but I do know for a fact your energy is still reverberating around the room. And I was talking to his daughter Amy yesterday, and she said, oh man, he is zooming around like a little toddler with a with a helium balloon, like flying around. Doors are opening, doors are closing. He talked to me, actually. I was going to sleep next to Alex Saturday night. And right as I was passing over into the sleep mode, he was right there with me. He said, Elvis, have a good sleep, son. It was exactly what he would say. And I woke up and went, did you hear that? And Alex is like, go to sleep. I didn't hear anything. And then he talked to me again later. And then I found out the next day he was in many of our friends' dreams. He had so much energy. He will be here forever.
Wow.
We love you, Drew. And there you go. Anyone else will say anything else?
He said if we see cockroaches, we need to smash them because he believes that he's going to be reincarnated and there's a chance he could come back as a cockroach. So we need to escalate how quickly he goes to the next
Yeah, he
realm.
doesn't want to be a cockroach.
Yeah.
So kill all cockroaches.
All of them. Everyone you see, smash it, he said.
My God. Anyway, to everyone, I hope you have a Drew in your life because you deserve him. But yeah, go to the Chili Pod podcast and listen to what he tells of these stories.
And it's spelled CHILE pod, just so you can find it.
Yeah, as they spell it in Santa Fe.